What's up, guys? Welcome back to Viewer Castles. Today we're going to start off with Jaragas. Castle level is a 26, validated on this night. Let's jump into it. Level 26 is going to be fairly easy compared to, level 30 castles, obviously, since I'm over-leveled. So just keep that in mind. This is actually, I messed up. You're always supposed to try to kite this if you can. This room is, like, sometimes deadly. Luckily, this wasn't a smelly archer room, or I would have had more problems. I always say it when I run into this room, and I always forget, is you should always try to drop a volley down at the end of this room if you can. The only time that you really can't is if there's a spike trap at the end of it. You have to be standing on that spike trap. But if you're, like, standing right next to these, it's not that hard for you to drop a volley inside of this room. Pull the entire room out, and it makes it a lot easier. Just like an attacking tip, I guess. Alright. Alright, this is going to be a mouse wheel room. You can kite these as well if you get like inside a little bit. Sometimes you can volley and actually pull something from the sides, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. So I think you should actually have more ballista traps here if you're going to use IMAXs on this specialization, because what IMAXs on this specialization basically do is give you like these triangles to work with, where the IMAX is like throwing out their eye line like down here and here, and you have to be standing in this small area. So pretty much every ballista shot is going to hit until the eye line stops like going past you, and then you can move again. So having like 2 or 3 in the back here will make it a little bit better in terms of damage, because there's nothing here that will like force me to hit the eyeline bubbles. So you have to use that like space that you're forcing me to work with by putting in a couple more traps. You can also just move this one down slightly and stuff like that and still make it work. But I think having like at least one more back here towards the back end, so you're getting hit by 2 constantly, is probably a little bit better. Alright. And another problem that I was having when I was using these is if they kite them across here, it's really hard for the eyeline to actually, like the IMAX to actually get in range to start using eyeline against you. So see, by the time he gets in range, he was so low life that I was able to just shoot him down before he was able to do anything. Other than that, the room's laid out well, though. I'm taking a lot of damage from it. Alright, so we actually have some vamps here. Let's see if I can stun them. That's what I'd like to do. And then drop a volley and then just kind of run around. So this is the main issue with vamps, is that they all just kind of die to one-shot volley. I was a little bit slow at actually doing it that time, but if you just... sometimes I like to stun them quickly, and I got silenced, so that was the reason why it took me so long. Stun them when they like first pounced you. You just stun and then drop a volley kind of on yourself and kind of on them as well, and then when they pounce into you, you just kind of run around in a circle inside the volley and they'll all die without having you take any damage, or close to no damage. The elite vamp is a little bit better, but I don't really like vamps just because they're too low life at the moment. Alright, and then we have Mr. Firesley. I'm not a huge fan of Mr. Firesley. His tail whack or whatever is about the best thing that he does. The fire breath can be a little annoying, but Flamio's fire breath is just better in like every way, because it leaves the flame on the ground as well, which adds space control. So I think like you should be able to try to find some extra points that you can fit in and just remove the boss completely, because there's no real point in just having one boss and nothing else. The boss really is only for his huge aggro circle, so that you can aggro a big group of mobs. It's the only time you really want to use a boss. Having a boss by himself is just not that strong. But other than that, I think the mouse wheel room is about the best room that you have in here, and it could definitely kill some people. It has the potential to. If you're going to use IMAXs on eyeline, though, just like I said, have 2 ballistas hitting them constantly. But there's other units that you could throw in there as well. I mean, it really doesn't matter what you put in there. It's really the just annoying part of having that room in there. As you're going through, you just take so much ballista trap damage. But yeah, let's jump into number 2 in just a second. Alright, next up we have Zauce. Castle level's a 23. He's got this Mage over here. I don't really know level 23 stats, so they could be good, could be bad. I haven't been level 23 in a while, so I kind of forget. They seem okay, though. Maybe slightly low DPS, but I always had really high DPS. I think the hit points is good. He has more health than I had like at level 28, so that's got to be pretty good. So let's jump into it here and take a look. They came out with a patch today, probably yesterday for when this video will actually go up. There was nothing really in it, so I'm not really going to do a like patch notes overview like I normally do, because there's literally nothing in it in terms of balance or gameplay. The only thing they really did was change around the chat. They changed it so chat like defaults to open, and then I don't know, they did one other thing I think, but it wasn't anything gameplay related, so there's no point in actually going over it. Alright, so level 24, these spike traps are going to get a bunch better. Having only 2 active panels is pretty bad, so you'll want to race to that if you use a lot of spike traps. I think this is okay. This room you had, I think you might have too many units compared to what your soft and hard cap is. I'm not sure if you looked into that or not, but I don't think everything was fighting when I first walked into it, which is going to be a problem. You had a couple smelly warriors, which is good. Maybe too many smelly warriors, I don't remember how many you had. I would say 2 is about the absolute max you want at any one time fighting someone, because if you dodge 1, you're going to dodge all of them. So having, you know, more than 2 is just too many defense points devoted to something that probably won't hit. The idea here is nice with the 2 hunger bots pushing you back into the traps. It's something I used to do a lot when hunger bots were like better than they are now. Unfortunately, you can see them from across this hallway, so it's easy for an archer or a mage to kite them across and not take any damage from them. But it's a good idea. It's kind of how I wish the game would go back to, where, you know, hunger bots are able to do things like that. You know, same here. If you had this on the pushback, pushing someone back onto traps and making your traps more effective with the group, like having that all synergize well, I don't know, that was the fun part of the game for me, is having my traps and my creatures all synergized correctly and like forcing the attacker to take extra damage that they necessarily shouldn't take just because I set things up well. It's a really good way of doing things, it's just the game isn't really laid out for that right now. The game's really all about this, everything in the boss room, and just, you know, fight off 300 plus defense points in the boss room, and then just have one room that makes it a little bit more difficult to kite through. So as I said, Flameo I think is one of the better bosses, and I talked about Mr. Firesley Flame Breath and why this one's better, is this flame that's on the ground will deal a ton of damage. And now you can see I have this like little box that I'm kind of boxed in, and if I end up taking that damage, it's like 150 attack at this level, but at the higher levels it can be up to, I think it's around 800 at level 30 or 28 or whatever the highest level for Flameo is. So that's why I like him better. He has the same basic like stun that Mr. Firesley has. It's a little bit different. He pounces on you, and I believe you get knocked over from that. I don't know, I think he's just a better boss in general. I've died to him quite a bit, more so than I've died to Count Snottingham, so that's why I think he's the best boss right now. And Mr. Firesley rarely kills me. The only time I really die to that is sometimes you don't notice that Mr. Firesley is like turned around and you roll into it and then he gets his tail flick off, and that stun is really long. You'll be laying on the ground for like a full Zeke volley from headshot, you know, and you'll take 3 bolts from it and you'll just die from that. That's really the only time that I like that. Or really the only time that I die to it. Alright, so let's jump into number 3 in just a second. Alright, and lastly we have SWAT 2G, castle levels of 24. It's got this archer. Pretty low DPS for the archer. Other than that, like the hit points is good, the resistance is fine, for an archer at least. But very low DPS. We'll see how this is. This is actually a castle that has a 70% win rate. You don't normally see red castles. It's one of the few that I've seen, although it is easier to get a red castle I think at the lower levels. Not at the like absolute lowest, but from like 24 to maybe 28. Even 28 is a little bit weaker than it used to be. It's not quite as good. because Stairmasters got nerfed. But level 24 is a really good upgrade because you get your spike traps that have 3 active panels and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. It doesn't say how many people it actually beat on this anymore. This is the other thing that they changed in the patch notes, is they show the last comment given on the castle, and then they changed how this looks. Like, it's conquered most by archers. I think that's one of the only things. There's how many mines there are inside of it, but they also removed how many attackers it's beaten. That used to be a stat that was on here. So I don't know. They just changed things up a little bit. Nothing too crazy. Like I said, it doesn't really affect gameplay, in my opinion. So they didn't really give any stats that are going to be super important. Actually, the only thing they did is probably slightly nerf castles that, like, if you get a comment and it says, like, you know, good bear traps or good smelly archers or something like that, you know, and kind of like give away the strategy. I think that's the only thing that could come out of it gameplay-wise. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but it's not going to happen that often, so it's not really that big of a deal. But you could go through and look at comments for people's castles. Just look for castles that have that, you know. I don't know. It's not a big deal. Like, it's fine. But I was hoping for a little bit more, you know. I think everybody's hoping for more that is playing this game. I don't think anyone is really, like, content. Maybe, like, new players, but people that have been level 30 for a while. I highly doubt that people are really content with where the game is right now. So, there's actually so many ballista traps here that as you're walking backwards, it'll bug out the Jimbo AI. The reason for that is, like, let's go through and do it. So, like, as I'm walking back this way, they're going to constantly be behind me, and the Jimbos are going to be chasing me. But when, like, the game tells the Jimbo to follow me in a certain direction, they're going to also see the traps about to be, like, fired on this square, or on this circle, so it'll, like, tell it to avoid that area, and it kind of messes with them. Normally, ballista traps don't affect monster AI, but when you have so many of them and you're walking in a straight line, against melee mobs it does affect their AI a little bit. Not the biggest deal in the world. I maybe one or two too many Defendatrons in this group, but other than that it's laid out pretty well. The problem is ballista traps aren't enough to stop an archer from kiting, and that's why probably an archer is the person who beats you the most, is because I can stutter step as I'm backing up. I can stutter step and not really take ballista trap damage. You can see I'm able to just back up and shoot, and I don't take any damage from the ballistas. So there's nothing here that stops me from kiting, even though you have a ton of traps in here. You have to have spike traps or mouse wheels to stop people from kiting. You have to, like, impede their movement, or if they do move, you have to force them to take damage. That's basically what you have to do to stop people from kiting your boss room. That's, like, the big weakness of your castle, and other than that, it's fine. Alright, so, obviously it looked easy because I'm super over leveled for this, you know, I'm like 8 levels up or something, 7 levels up, so that's why it looks easy. But that is pretty much it. That's number 3, so we're going to end the video here. As always, if you guys enjoy what I do, please subscribe. If you want to be a part of HeroCast, you can email me at frenzycastleruns@hotmail.com. There's a link in the description of that, as well as the spreadsheet that I use to kind of list out the names and stuff like that. You can just see the description for it. Level 20 and above castles I'm taking, and you have to add me to your friends list so that I can attack your castle. And that is pretty much it. Sometime this week, I'll probably actually rebuild my castle tomorrow, maybe? I don't know, because the 4th of July is on Friday, so I'll probably be busy that day. I have Thursday off, so I could rebuild. That's today for you guys, but tomorrow for me. So I could possibly rebuild my castle that day or Saturday. Not sure which one. And then the videos will come out sometime next week. I might take, like, a small gap between building my castle and actually releasing the videos, just to see how it's performing over, like, 1 or 2 days before I release the videos, and then see if that actually affects it. Because, I mean, obviously, like, people don't mean to watch my castle rebuilding series and then go through it and, like, you know, like, go by it room for room and like memorize the castle and then attack it. But after you've watched someone's defense, it does make it a lot easier. So I'm gonna see if that affects it at all. But mostly it's gonna be a very generic castle, I think, this time around. Just gonna see how Flameo boss room type castle, how many wins you actually get with that. That's pretty much what I'm going for. And then the forest update is out. I'm going to be playing some of that either tomorrow or Saturday as well, and doing a small series on that again, like I did before. They changed up like log cabins. They changed up a couple things, so I'll be testing out all of the changes. I'm really enjoying that game, so I'm probably going to stick with it until I get bored with it. Any other content that I'm really going to be producing, I don't know. I've actually been playing a lot of PlanetSide 2 recently, which is kind of weird. I just sort of decided to pick it up because I'm looking forward to H1Z1. It's like a zombie apocalypse game like DayZ, but it's being developed by Sony Entertainment. So kind of the first AAA studio to really pick up a open world like sandbox survival game like that. So I'm kind of looking forward to that one. And it's using the same engine as PlanetSide 2, so I figured I'd jump into it and just kind of practice with the engine a little bit just to get used to it. So I've been playing a bunch of that. I'm not really sure what kind of video I would put out for that, though. I mean, I could do like a montage of headshots or something, I don't know. Or I could just, just keep playing it on my own time, which is probably what I'll do. But that's kind of what I've been playing, and then a little bit more League of Legends here and there. But I'm probably not going to do any videos on League of Legends until I play more ranked. Because right now I'm sitting in like silver, and I don't want to like put out a tutorial type video when I'm sitting in silver. Like I'm winning most of my games, and when I'm not winning, I'm going like 8-2 in my lane and like out farming my lane opponent and just like crapping on him all game. But then the rest of my team loses their lane harder. So I just have to play more ranked, and I'll be able to get up to at least platinum, I'm assuming, and then I feel at least a little bit more confident putting out videos. But as it is right now, I don't want to put out more when I don't know if I actually know what I'm talking about or not. So I just decided to not put out more of those until then. And let's see, what else have I been doing? I think that's pretty much it. Little games here and there I play, but there's nothing too major. I guess I've been playing a little bit of Hearthstone as well, but I don't really feel like putting out videos on that. I just play Arena for fun when I'm tired and I don't feel like doing anything that's like, I don't know, like mechanically demanding. So that's pretty much it. You might see any of those videos coming out, but most likely it's just going to be the Forest and Mighty Quest for right now. And then we're waiting on like H1Z1, and then also Evolve is a game that I'm actually pretty pumped for, coming out in October. But that's a couple weeks away. I could do some more Heroes of the Storm as well. I haven't really gotten into that game yet. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I haven't had enough time or if because I just don't like the way that it is. Like it's less mechanical than League of Legends and Dota and stuff like that. So I don't know. But that's pretty much what I've been up to. We're gonna end this video because I've just been like ranting about what I've been doing for a while, and I don't think that's really entertaining. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.